Hi, this is Gail Minogue, the numerologist, and today I'm looking at a subject matter that I have a lot of questions from my clients, and it's all about location and where should they move and what can I tell them about certain states, certain cities. So in numbers, remember I have told you, if you've been following any of my other YouTube videos, I have been talking to you about the life path from your date of birth, and how your name tells you about your destiny, and your name tells you about your karmic lesson, and your name tells you all about your personality. And it also can indicate from your life path and the missing numbers, where's a good place for you to relocate if you're going to move, or if you don't like where you are, what might be wrong with the place you're at. So one of the first questions I always ask my clients when they're talking about moving is the lifestyle they want to have. And it's been my experience that most people don't really think about the lifestyle they want to have. They think about the taxes or the cheap housing. But it's like a loaf of bread. When you buy it, you get the whole loaf, even if you only want a slice. So they'll slice it by going for taxes, or they'll slice it for going to, say, cheap housing. But then you have to live with the lifestyle, which can be very, very different from where you have been. It can work out, but sometimes it does not. And you want to know, is this compatible with you? So what I did today was I looked at certain cities and certain states so I can tell you what type of personality that place has. That's what you want to know. What personality does it have? And is it going to be a place that I can really thrive in versus just save taxes and have a cheap house? And I could certainly move. I live in California, in Los Angeles area, and it's expensive, but the lifestyle is very good. The weather's terrific. You hear our storms really are just nothing more than a lot of rain. And then we have the droughts, but then we correct. And we have sunshine most of the time. And it's easygoing, and it's very progressive. So the state of California alone has a 5 life path. And if you look at numbers, the 5 is the one in the middle. So what we call a 5 is the agent of change. And where we get that number from is the date of statehood for the state. So you always, when you're looking at a state, look up the date that it became a state. And it will tell you the learning lesson of that state. So that's pretty easy to figure out, and you can go back over my old videos, figure out how to do your life path, and then you will figure out the same information is applied to statehood. So each state has a certain direction it is to follow, and it's called its life path of that state. And then if you do the same thing for a city, you look at the date the city was incorporated. That is the legitimate date of the city was founded. And you go by what the lesson of that city is. Are you compatible to that city? Are you compatible to that state? And you can do this with towns, you can do it with villages, you can do it with cities, and you can do it with states, and you can do it with countries. You want to know what that country is like? Look at its date of when it became a country. For instance, like Israel had ancient dates, many dates change, but until it was basically a new state back in the 40s, it really had no, quote, life path it was following, and now it does. And so that will tell you about what that country is like. And that too is the country of the United States is a 5 country. The state of California is a 5 state. These states that are 5s, or this country that's a 5, is always an agent of change for others. So there's always a lot going on. If you look at California, it's very progressive. It has a lot of ideas that are changing. It's moving. It always is moving into the future. And it makes mistakes and it has to correct, but it's always moving forward. It's moving. So that's kind of energy. Now you have to look at also the name of the state and what that tells you about the destiny of the state. So it's really important to figure this out. And you do the exact same thing as your own life path, which is you take the date of birth of that state or that city, and you add that date of birth together, reduce the compound number to get a single digit, and you will. So I want to read off to you. I picked the states of Florida, because people seem to be moving there. I picked the states of Arizona. I picked the state of California, and I also looked at Las Vegas, Nevada. So let's just start with Florida. Florida has a life path from its date of birth, and that was from March 3, 1845, and it has a life path of the number 6. So it's more of a state which is more home-oriented, house-oriented, family-oriented, et cetera, about like that. Also, it wants to harmonize. It's under the constellation of Pisces. It's a water sign. It's not surprising. It's a very water state. And, but it doesn't have what I call a real business energy of that state. So a lot of people will move there to live. But it's not where you find big headquarters of companies, or you find a lot of what I'll say research coming out or progress coming out of there. It's a pleasant place to live if you don't mind mosquitoes, mildew, and a lot of humidity. So it is a place for basically housing, but it isn't a place for, I'd say, commercial endeavors like, say, New York or Chicago or California. Phoenix is a place for that. So Florida is a Piscean state. The city of Miami is basically the only city in the state of Florida that has a business energy to it. It's too under the life path of the 5, so Miami is the change agent for that state, is Miami. And it's under this constellation of Leo, so it's more Hollywood, it's more entertainment, it's more alive, it's always moving. So Miami is the epicenter of that state for any progress is Miami. And it also has a lot of business quality to it. So if you're in Florida and you're interested in business, you go to the Miami area. If you want in Florida, if you want to go, say, more of laid back, more humanity, more of that, both sides, give and take and all that, that would be Sarasota. And that would be a Gemini, that's an air city. But it's not a business city. So in Florida, it's Miami, okay? And in Florida, the state is a place to live. It is not an agent of change. It would like to think that way. Miami is an agent of change. So what comes out of Miami changes things, but not the state itself. And that stands to reason. So now we go look at Arizona. Arizona is an interesting place. It's got an 11 life path. It's a master number life path. It sees both sides of everything. And if you look at the politics of Arizona, it's interesting because it's got both, you know, it's indecisive. It likes this red, and then it likes blue, and then it's going to put some blue in, and then we'll put some red in. And it also has an Aquarian quality. So it's in the constellation of Aquarius. So kind of live and let live. The area that's the business side is Phoenix. That's the powerhouse of Arizona, is Phoenix. That's business. So of these, many of these cities that I'm naming, including Miami, Phoenix is much more business-oriented than Miami. But Arizona itself, it's a more peaceful place. It's a more compromising place. All of that is Arizona. So sometimes it'll go completely this, and then it'll flip-flop and go completely that. That's Arizona. So when you hear about the, say, elections, you'll find that Arizona, they don't know which way it's going to go because it has an 11 life path. And that brings us to the state of Texas. Now, Texas is a 5 state. So this is another agent of change for the country. California and Texas, not California and Florida. California and Texas, those are the agents of change. And it has, the interesting thing about Texas, it's a Capricorn country. It's an earth, which is really not surprising. What does it do there? It's oil-based, chemical-based, land-based, ranch-based, all land. So Capricorn's an earth sign. So it has more of that earthy feel as Texas. And, but it's still an agent of change, but it's very much a Capricorn. So it wants business, it wants money, but it still doesn't have what I call a pure 8, like a Phoenix or a Chicago. These are the big, that energy you can tell is business. So anyway, Texas, though, is an agent of change. And when we look at the cities in Texas, I looked at 2. I looked at Dallas, which is another Aquarian city, and it is also lighter. It's more, it's housing, it's more home, it's more, people like to move to the Dallas area. There's more of a peacekeeping quality to it. It's a 4 destiny, so it's very traditional in many ways. It's not wild and crazy, but it has a more humanitarian quality to Dallas. Now, Houston is very different. This is Houston, which is your big oil area and petrochemical area, is also an air sign. A lot of air signs here, Gemini. So this is a city that has a 3 life path. So it's pleasant. I can't say anything really negative about Houston, except it floods a lot. I used to live there. And it has a lot of flooding problems, a lot of water problems, a lot of problems due to man-made causes that are a problem with Houston. So if you were choosing between the 2, and one is Aquarian City, one is Gemini, one is more home and hearth and solid and traditional, you would probably go for Dallas. And also, but both of these are what I call, they're numbers that are agreeable. They're not disagreeable places. They're, I mean, forget the weather, but the disagreeable, they're not at war with themselves. And the other place I wanted to take a look at is Nevada. Now, I could go on and on because there's so many places that, little small cities. So you need to do this with each city, county. If you want to do the county, you can do that. I wouldn't bother. Just do the city, the state, and the country. Okay? Very important that you know the city. Very important that you know the state, because you don't want to move to a state that really doesn't like you. Okay? Or you don't want to move to a state that is just basically has a class of people that you're not comfortable with. So Nevada, which is under the sign of Scorpio, it's interesting. Nevada itself is a 6 path. So it's a nurturing path, okay? And it is a lot of traditional path. It's born on a 31 day, October 31, 1864, Scorpio. So it's very strong. You can feel that solid energy of Nevada, a lot of mountains, a lot of natural beauty, severity, drought and all of that, and hot and then rugged and cold. A very, very interesting state, also very traditional. Now, I did Las Vegas. Where are you in here? I thought I did Las Vegas. Here it is. Okay, Las Vegas is interesting. So Las Vegas in the city of Las Vegas, Nevada, it has a 5 destiny. Whenever we have a 5, there's overindulgence in the physical level. There's overindulgence in sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So that would mean also California and Texas is overdone in the senses, and also a big agent of change. So Vegas is always going to change. It's got a 5 destiny and a 1 life path. So it's always initiating, it's always starting something. Eventually, Vegas will become more, shall I say, of a place to start stuff. Maybe you want to start an incubator company or something like that, and you might go to Las Vegas versus, saying, going to Dallas, which is not so much an incubator country, but Las Vegas is. So you want to know, what do I want to do, and what do I want to do there? So this is just giving you a snapshot of the importance of the city, the state, and the country. Some people want to leave the country and they want to move overseas, and they don't know a clue about the place they're going to move to, except it's beautiful and they spend a vacation there. Always, always ask yourself, what is the lifestyle? Particularly as we're aging, a lot of people say, well, they want to be in nature more, and they want to be able to access the country and the mountains and the streams, and then they move there, and then they can't get near a doctor. food delivery, they forget it. You know, everything is far away. Emergencies, if you need any type of service, they don't come out to see you. Maybe you have to go get your mail somewhere. So you want to think of, is this the lifestyle I want? Would I get lonely? Is there people to talk to? Do I want to go to a coffee shop somewhere? How do you want to live? That is extremely important. First, you're going to ask yourself that. Then you're going to come to me and you're going to tell me where you want to go, and I'll go right through every bit of it. And I'll look at it as it compares to your chart. Because it has to be compared to your personal blueprint. Will this place work for you? Very important before you go anywhere. Just take that time out. Don't do any rash decisions. Take the time out to figure out what the place is all about that you're considering. So I hope this just gives you a little inkling. I know I had to go through it quickly. I don't want to bore you with a lot of, but sit down, take the birthplace, go online, go Google it. Here's the date of birth of whatever. Maybe you want to go to Nebraska, or maybe you want to go to, honestly, somebody is talking more and more and more about Mississippi. I'm like, really? And I don't even know the numbers of Mississippi, but it might be interesting because they say it's been totally underrated, and I don't know, but it would be interesting to find out. Do this homework before you go. So I always thank you for listening. If you have any questions, just email me or just call me, and you can find it all on my website. Thank you very much.